So it's those escalators that are flat.
Oh,
you get at
Are
airports.
they called travelators?
They're called travelators.
Oh, that's
I didn't know that.
amazing.
So I would just kind of be like, oh, God, that's a long corridor. Goodbye. And then everyone would be thinking, because also the best thing, it's a great feeling. You know when you're walking on a
brilliant.
travelator, and then for a moment you're like, I am everything I've ever wanted to be.
Yeah.
And then you step back on, and I'm like, oh, this is how it feels to be Jen in Extraordinary. You know what I mean?
Hello and welcome to an extraordinary episode of the Movie Podcast. My name is Daniel. I am one of your hosts today, and joining alongside me, they're still waiting for their superpowers. It's Anthony and Shahbaz. Hello to you both. How are you?
Doing great, man. You are right. I am still waiting for my superpowers. But again, in this world, they've kind of established that your powers can be just super random. Like they can be, you can talk to animals, or you can like just move pencils maybe. So I wonder if I have a power, but I just haven't realized it yet. Like, maybe my power is to always look at the clock at a certain time. It's a useless power,
Right.
but it's something that I notice happens a lot to me. So maybe that's my power.
But, here's the
Uselessness.
thing.
Yeah,
Uselessness.
that's usually the what everyone says about me. They're like, "Yeah, you're
Yeah.
you're so good at being useless," and I'm like, "Well, thank you." Wow.
That is great. You never know. You don't know. You may have it already. Anthony, how are you doing?
I am doing well. I'm just I'm here. I'm a little sick today, under the weather, but other than that, like I'm excited to talk about Extraordinary, which is like this show that's came out of nowhere.
Yeah, 100%. Also, like, it goes without saying. Of course, I have to ask you both what you think your powers would be. Shay, you kind of dance around yours a little bit. Like maybe you look at the clock at the exact same time every day. Anthony, maybe yourself, maybe that you get sick at the exact same time every single year, and that's just how it is.
No,
Maybe
I
that
don't,
is your
I don't
gift.
think that's a great superpower. It's not even a superpower.
I didn't
That's
say
just,
it had to be great.
It's not a superpower though. You know, like I would say if I were to have one, I like to stop time. Time stoppage is great.
Clock stoppers? I
Yeah,
got it.
because you can
Yeah,
stop
that'd be a
stop
great
anything
one.
that's about to happen. Move, get out of the way.
Yeah.
You can rob banks, do whatever.
Oh,
you
Oh,
want.
okay. So you want to be a criminal?
Now-
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
It's
It
not a-
sounds like you want
no.
to be a villain. That's a little bit different.
I'm not
I
hurting
think
anyone.
honestly, I think what our superpower is collectively is that we make the best damn podcast around. Because of course, this is the Movie Podcast. You can catch a brand new episode of our show every single Monday, and watch out throughout the week for our reviews and interviews and all the latest movies and series. We have a plethora of extraordinary episodes out now for you to listen to, with interviews from Rupert Grint to M. Night Shyamalan to Mary McCartney and so many more. We also have some great reviews out that you could check out on the Movie Podcast feed. And if you want to check out a brand new episode of the Movie Podcast, check out our best movies of 2022. We have some great discussions on what was a monumental year, not just for the Movie Podcast, but for cinema. I think cinema and the Movie Podcast last year, they really were just like, you know what? Let's do something special. Let's get together and have a good year.
It was a good cinemergy.
Cinemergy, isn't that one of the subscription services that failed?
It's probably, or it's a podcast out there as well.
Yeah, it could be a podcast out there as well too. Of course, if you want to follow this amazing podcast, head over to Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Letterboxd at the Movie Podcast. We have incredible videos and posts for you there for you to enjoy. We're doing some really great stuff on our social, so please go check out all of that. We have some really great special guests coming up, and we want you to catch all of it. Of course, if you want to join our Discord, you want to keep this conversation going, head over to our Discord. Everything you need is in our show notes below, so make sure you check that out. And of course, if you're watching this on YouTube and seeing our lovely faces, make sure you subscribe. Let us know what you think of Extraordinary, which we're going to talk about very, very soon. Yeah, what an incredible show. And like Anthony said, what an amazing show that just kind of was sprung on us. You know, this show is going to be releasing on Hulu in the States, on Disney Plus in Canada and the UK and everywhere else around the world. It's going to be releasing on January 25th, and it's created by Emma Moran. So please check that out, January 25th on Disney Plus. All episodes will be available. And we're going to talk more about the show later on. But we actually have some interviews with the cast of the show. So joining us very soon will be Máiréad Tyers, Sofia Oxenham, Bilal Hasna, and Luke Rollason. So stay tuned for our interviews with all of them. We had such a fun time talking with them. But I want to ask both of you, going into this year so far, we've had some incredible shows. We had some great movies coming out already. Do you think we're heading, we're closing in on the end of January very soon? Do you think this is one of the best Januaries for releases when it comes to shows and movies? Because we're getting extraordinary. We have The Last of Us. We had Megan. We had a really strong start to the year, and then Avatar obviously is kicking butt every single day. Do you think this is like the strongest start to the year that we've had in a little while? Not including the Spider-Man mania that kind of carried over from last year, but with new projects as well being released.
It's definitely up there. I think, when I look at last year, we had The After Party also come out in January, and that was one of my absolute favorite shows. I know you guys loved
Yep.
it as well. But yeah, what's nice about this January is a show like Extraordinary really just grabbed us. It really hooked us, and we have some other shows that are going to be coming out on different streaming services this month as well that also did a phenomenal job. And you're right, Daniel, there's some great movies right now coming out in theaters. We just watched Megan, which right now, I mean, it's our number one film of the year at the moment, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is. And the
Right?
sequel was just announced as well, too.
And the sequel was just announced today as well. So there's a lot of good things happening in January. January notoriously was always the month of let's dump this movie here, let's dump this show here because people aren't paying attention. But we live in a world now where media needs to be cycled 24/7, whether it's good or
Right.
bad. If you think about it, like there's pros and cons to both areas, but I mean, at least we're not starving for content, but
Yeah,
now is
we're
the
busy.
quality of content, like where's the fine line between that?
Sure. Anthony, how about for yourself? What are your thoughts?
I can't really speak on the previous years because I don't really know everything that came out during those months. But I would say that January has had some great releases. With Extraordinary, we have The Last of Us. There's also Your Honor that's out. There's a lot of series that
Yep.
are just starting up again. So it's always good to start the new year with great, fresh content and then go into the coming months wanting other things. And I think that's, it's just the first month out of the 12. So great start. Looking forward to seeing what's going to, what the following months bring. But yeah, like it's always good to have these times because it's hard we never got them before. Like Shay said, like usually January was the dump month. These are the months that we dump our bad stuff, especially for movies. But that's changed, especially the way we consume stuff now. Bad Boys, I think, was a big one when it came out. It was
In
during
2020.
It was during that. Was it January, right?
Yeah, it was the best thing that happened that year.
Right.
Nothing else happened in 2020
Yeah.
after that.
So
Yeah.
looking forward to what's next.
And like I said, the show that we are talking about today, the cast we are talking to, is from the Extraordinary show of that very same name. Very aptly titled, just like the movie podcast. Like Extraordinary describing itself, the movie podcast describing itself. We love shows that describe themselves. It's very, very strong. I think it builds great character. But I want to say thank you again to our friends at Disney Studios Canada for making this happen for us. This is a show that, like I said, really wasn't on our radar yet. But through the power of the movie worlds, it's been kind of introduced to us in the show world. So like, I'm just so happy that this is on our radar, and it's a phenomenal show. This will be the show that I think we tell people like, hey, have you watched this show yet? Check it out, because I think this would be one that you want to add to your lists. But without further ado, please, let's get the cast on the show. Let's welcome Máiréad, Sofia, Bilal, and Luke to the Movie Podcast. Thank you all so much for sharing your time with us on the Movie Podcast today. We absolutely adore Extraordinary. It totally makes sense why it's called that, because it is. And we are so happy to be talking with you today.
Thank
The pleasure is all ours, honestly.
The world of Extraordinary has established that no superpower is off the table. With that being said, what would each of your superpowers be in real life?
Oh, I've got one.
Oh, yeah?
Being able to untie things like that. Like, I was just looking at all the cables down there. No offense, not that it's any bad work from anyone. I can just sorry, lads.
You've deeply
I feel like I've
offended.
really messed up there now. I just mean that, think of like a necklace or
Earphones.
something,
Or your earphones.
earphones. Like just being able to untie them, or like a big, I don't know. you'd love to kind of turn up at a big shipyard or something when they have to untie knots and just go, no problem.
Always at big shipyards.
I'm always visiting them, aren't I?
That's the one thing you do need to know about Máiréad.
Just always at the shipyard.
She loves the shipyard.
Working
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
I think I would have that you can touch yourself. Wait, sorry. You can like touch a bit of your body. Wait,
Sophia.
you can touch your knee and you can immediately grow or shrink in size. So if you want to go on like a ride in a roller coaster and you're like too small, then you can just suddenly grow. If you want to get through a small
By
hole,
touching your knee?
like I don't know, in a cave or something, you can just touch your knee and you can just crawl through. So you can just completely change your body size.
And if someone else touches your knee, does it still happen?
No, only you, and only with your right hand.
Only, and is it right knee?
Right knee, yeah.
Right.
I love the specificity in all of
These are all great
all
for the shipyard as
superpowers.
well, I think.
Yeah.
It's
You're
great
all
for the
welcome.
shipyard. You
It's
can just go
great
over
for
there.
the shipyards. I'd quite like to be a speaker, by which I mean, if I go like, music comes out and you can connect me via Bluetooth, because you know, like in those situations you're in the park, where's the
Yeah.
speaker? Like I could just do it. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And you won't run out of
I
battery.
went out of battery, and then you know, you won't be able to converse with your friends. Though, yeah, that was my favourite song.
Just be able to sing. Oh no, you get the whole song, yeah.
Yeah, and then people can
yours,
like cue things.
I would be able to turn any bit of floor into a travelator. So,
What's a travelator?
so it's those escalators that are flat.
Oh.
You get at airports.
Are they called travelators?
They're called travelators.
Oh, that's
I didn't know
amazing.
that.
So I would just kind of be like, oh god, that's a long corridor. Goodbye. and then because also the best, it's a great feeling. You know when you're walking on a
brilliant.
travelator, and then for a moment you're like, I am everything I've ever wanted to be.
Yeah.
And then you step back on, and I'm like, oh, this is how it feels to be Jen in Extraordinary. You know what I mean? And you're back walking like a normal heavy person. I want to travel late, walk everywhere.
Oh, it's
I imagine it's what moonwalking
Oh my
is
god,
like.
that's good. I've come up with.
such a good one, Luke. Honestly.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
We're learning so much about
So
you all
much.
today. This is wonderful.
These are great powers.
Good for worse.
You know, Sophia, your character, Carrie, has the ability to channel the non-living. If you had that ability, who would you want to talk to? Would it be somebody famous? Who would you talk to first?
You know what, guys? I think if I was to have that ability, I would choose. I have their skill set as well, right? If I,
Yes.
I think I would love to channel Freddie Mercury on the stage. We're in Wembley. You guys are all here,
Yeah.
and we're doing a massive concert, Live Aid. We're doing Live Aid,
Oh,
But just for
my
us.
just for us.
Just for the five of us.
Same atmosphere, I don't think.
I don't know if we'd raise that much money. Like just with the five of us.
We're doing Live Aid.
But you know what? There's loads, but that's just one example. But I think I'd really like to get with someone that like
someone.
get someone with
Who
a
sold out
different
Wembley.
skill set and then try out their skill set for a bit. You
Yeah,
know?
that'd be
That's
amazing.
nice.
Like an amazing rower or something.
Or a
Roar.
Rower.
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 In the dockyard.
No,
I'm really, everything's revolving around the
It's
sea
really
today.
nautical for you.
Máiréad, you mentioned in an interview that you were working in the cinema before landing the role of Jen on Extraordinary. First of all, how did you quit that job? And what are some theater etiquette rules for the audience you always recommend?
Very good.
Oh,
I like
that's
that.
a good question.
Okay. What was the first thing? How did I quit it? I actually told them, I was like, I start in 2 days. Oh God. I actually I had 5 weeks between like the time when I got it and the time when I was about to, when we were like starting filming, and I was like, yeah, I start in 2 days. It's a bit mad. Like, I have to go
No
right
prep
now.
time at all.
So I was just like, I'm gone. See you later. Theatre etiquette. Do you know what? It was one of those cinemas where you deliver stuff to people's seats, and like, I would just beg people to put their stuff under the seat, or just don't leave it out, because it made life really hard.
On the tray.
Like,
You know,
their bags and
they'd leave their
stuff.
bags there, and then they'd see you coming. They'd kind of move the legs, but they wouldn't like move their bags. And then the amount of like, I remember once carrying a tray of like,
Oh God.
I think there was maybe about 2 pints. There was a couple of glasses of prosecco, and this guy like, I was like jumping over all these rucksacks and bags and everything. And then a guy took one of the pints off, and because it completely unbalances the tray, I literally was just like, phew, and I remember
No.
two
All
glasses
of
of
it on you.
prosecco went all the way down me.
On you or on a guest?
On me. Which is better than on a guest, to be fair, but
Oh, but still.
but still, yeah. And
Nice.
just don't talk. Just be quiet.
Yeah, people who talk. in the
People who
cinema.
talk in the cinema. Come on.
But you're out of there now. That's the most important part. That's the
Yes,
most important
yeah.
part. You know, Extraordinary has such an absolutely killer soundtrack, and we'd love to know for each of you,
what would your superhero anthems be? And Luke, we'll start with you.
I actually 100% know what it is because when I just listened to this band so much when we were filming because Emma, the writer, created a playlist of music that she was listening to when she was writing the show, which we all became obsessed with. And when we were waiting for the later episodes to come out, we'd be like, okay, new song on the playlist, guys. What does it mean? What could it possibly mean for the story?
Yeah, it was so much fun.
I kept questioning it.
There's a new song called Young. Maybe someone's going to be young. This was like the level of we're idiots. But so currently for me, a band from that playlist, I actually went to go see with the writer, and I was going absolutely mental, and she was just stood there like this the whole time. She's like, they're all right. Is Oh Come On by Superorganism. I listen to that at the moment, and I feel like I'm an absolute hero. I feel like I really got into them. I'm not sure if anyone else did, but I did.
I think I would choose Prince. When Doves Cry. Don't know why. Don't really know why, but I just think it's got a good variation for my superhero soundtrack. Yeah, that would be mine.
I would say I don't know the name of it, but I don't actually know any of the words either. There's one that goes da 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 da.
Keep going, keep going.
We're wasting time here. It's not by Michael
With the
Ball,
kids
but it's a
in
man
America.
who looks. No. Or I think Alone by Heart, which is the one that we did dance to, is just amazing. I should have just said that rather than wasting your precious ear time.
No, don't worry about it.
Mine would probably be the same as Cash's, which is, have you watched School of Rock?
Yes, of course.
You know the song that Jack Black sings with the band in the Battle of the Bands.
Yes.
Right.
Better get me to school on time.
And if you want to
Ooh la 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 la. Ooh. Okay, no, we've stopped. Okay, yeah, that would be mine.
That's perfect.
Perfect.
That's
Well,
absolutely perfect.
Perfect, guys. And again, I wish we had more time. Thank you all so much. Again, you guys have such amazing chemistry in the show. We love the show and your performances and can't wait for everyone to watch it. And fingers crossed we're getting a second season. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you
Love you
so
to
much.
Thank you so much,
Take care.
guys.
And welcome back. I'll be honest, I don't think I've laughed as much as in an interview as we have in that one, Shay. The casts of the show, Máiréad, Sofia, Bilal, and Luke you could tell that they have such a great energy with one another, and they're just so excited to be part of this show because it is an extraordinary show. Shay, what was your favorite part of the interview so far?
You know, that's a really tough question because I think when we asked the question about what power would you want, that sometimes seems like such a a softball question. Really kind of gets the interview kind of started, and they had some amazing answers, and I was dying through each one of them. I mean, I know you were as well, Daniel, but we're just like, these are such funny answers, and they fit the aesthetic of the show. They fit that camaraderie that they've shown as well. You could tell these were like four best friends just kind of hanging out on these chairs talking about something that they love doing. So man, what a conversation. Like I know we were on a high right after talking to them because they were just so much fun to talk to.
They were really fun, and I think the relationships and the friendships that I have, I think through making a show like this, that show that is so funny, too unique, and just is very, very own of its kind. Like we have a lot of shows that deal with superpowers and look at superpowers in a different way. But I think what this Extraordinary does is it puts it through like a different type of lens. And I think something that, Anthony and I were talking about before we started recording is that there's a different type of humor when it comes to British humor. And, and it doesn't always translate in the US, or it will, and it will find its audience, but then the US will try and do a version of it, or the US like there's like a type of humor that I absolutely adore that comes from the UK and comes from that side of the world. And this show is just full of it. And I think that's what makes it so unique. And seeing it from that lens, it's so damn funny. So Anthony, I want to start off our kind of post Extraordinary discussion. This is going to be spoiler free, of course, of the series. What was your first reactions finishing up the show and, just experiencing it? I'd love to hear from you first.
Yeah, like, so truthfully, you told me the other day, it's like, hey, we have these interviews for Extraordinary, and do you want to watch the show? We'll do a review. And I'm like, okay, like, I haven't heard about it. I think I don't remember seeing a trailer. So when you mentioned it, I watched the trailer. I'm like, interesting story. Like, here's a group of friends who live in a world where people have superpowers and they live their lives. they're no superheroes. They just have a power. Usually when you turn 18, you'll get a power. But here, there's one friend in this group who hasn't. She's 25, and she's just dealing with, you know, not having a power like the rest. And the first episode really hooks you because it really dives into all her friends, their interesting quirks, and I didn't know how mature it was going to be. So it's pretty like R-rated in terms of its language and the subject matters they
Yeah.
talk about. So it's really fun to kind of still be in a world very similar to The Boys, where it's more mature style of storytelling, but not as there's no gore or anything like that. So
Yeah.
you have like
Or government conspiracy or
Right.
anything. It's just
It's-
friends figuring out their lives in their 20s.
exactly. So it's like this hybrid sitcom, which is really, really funny. And it also, has that dry wit British humor that I love. And
Mhm.
and you said it's self-deprecating, and it makes fun of itself. And there's a lot of like dark comedy that I'm super, super, super big fan of. It also has a lot of like endearing moments as well. Like there's a lot of character building with each other in this small group of friends. And I think my biggest complaint is that the episodes are so short, because they're 8 episodes and they're 30 minutes long, and you could quickly go through them like within, well, I guess if you add it up, a couple of hours. But
A
like
night, yeah.
you really want to get the most out of these characters, and I really, really hope that there is a second season, and I hope
Yeah.
that they make it a little bit longer. Like,
Give us 22 episodes. You know what I mean? Let's go back to the old network days. I would take 22 episodes of this series.
100%.
Easily.
It's the chemistry too. Like you said, the interview, like they all felt like they were friends. So that's what this show feels like. It feels like they are real friends and they have great chemistry together. There are really cool, interesting powers that I would have never dreamt of, especially one of her friends who can possess the dead. And she has an interesting job in how she utilizes this power, which I thought it was super cool and super unique. And there's really funny moments that involve some bad people from the past that she kind of possesses, which is really cool.
It's interesting too because I think Sophia, that who we play, who plays that character who could speak to the dead. That show you could easily have a whole show dedicated to different people that she has to talk to. And I think
Yeah.
it's really clever the way this show's kind of blocked and shot, that when she's possessing these other people, it's very unique how it's shown, because it actually feels like it's a different person that like who's acting. So it's a testament to, I think, Sophia and the entire cast of the show, because everyone is fantastic in the show. Everyone plays their roles wonderfully. It's a testament to the acting of the show. Shay, jump on in. Your first reactions to Extraordinary.
I mean, I was hooked right away. I mean, we watched the trailer, right before the show kind of was given to us. I was like, okay, this seems like it could be right up our alley. Like, it has that dry, dark humor, but I want to see, like, really, can they pull it off? Can they make it not cheesy or corny? And the show succeeds in that. It is so funny. It is so just there's that level of darkness that it goes to where it never feels like it oversteps that boundary, where it still keeps a little bit of that playfulness there. That's something that I wish The Boys would do, because The Boys now has kind of gone for full shock value. It has gone for how can they just absolutely, make your mind or make you go, what the hell did I just watch? I think what this show does a really good job of is it teased the line very, very carefully to make sure that you're shocked, but you're also just having a very good time with it. It makes these 4 hours, if you were to binge the show, very palatable, very easy to kind of get through. Literally, like Anthony was saying, you can just sit down, hit play, and Disney Plus will just give you all the episodes all the way through, and you'll have a great time with it. There's no bad episode, there's no bad character. Every single element of this show is so purposely put in. There are times where I'm like, okay, like, why did we need to see this moment? And then maybe an episode or two later, you'll kind of see the purpose of what that was. And it usually is always a phenomenal payoff. There's also these
Right.
little like mid-credit scenes as well, which kind of tee up the next little moment. And they're never silly in the sense that they're never for no reason. They're always just that, oh, okay, this is relating to this moment or this moment. And the
Or
jokes
paying off a joke that we set up, right?
exactly. And the jokes that are also coming out are so unique. Like, there are times where I was like, oh my God. When you think you're following the punchline, you're like, okay, this is going to end right here, or the joke will end here, and I'll still laugh because you know what, the delivery is good. But so many jokes went a completely different way that I didn't expect, and that's what I love about this show. The comedy feels super fresh.
And that's where I want to jump in. This is one of the funniest shows that I've seen in a really long time. Like, this show is so brilliantly written. And I think that's where I really was falling in love with it, because yeah, you have very dark humor in it, where that kind of plays to what we like. And like, there's, as I speak to Shayna, I know who we love, Always Sunny, and with all of us, we're all fans of dark humor on this show. And this show embraces the dark humor, but it's also never in a way to make fun of anything. It's just poking fun at, hey, like, here are these subjects. Let's bring light to them, but also like, let's be funny. And I think at the end of the day, this show is really about just four friends in their 20s trying to figure out who the hell they are and what they're going to do with their lives. And I think the character of Jen, played by Máiréad, who's great in the show, she's trying to get her life in order, and there's issues with her friends, issues with her families, and the superpowers in the show kind of come second. Like, it's funny because you'll be watching the show and you'll get so used to it, where it's like, oh yeah, that character is just could reverse time, or this character is talking to the dead, or this person could they could transform into whatever. You just get so used to it. But when a new power is introduced too, like there's an episode where it's like, oh, like this person will play a soundtrack to however you're feeling. It's like, it's funny because the way it's used is so clever and it's so meta. And I think this show, just first and foremost, is just so damn funny.
There's that comparison I kind of want to bring to Harry Potter, where you kind of, at a certain age, people are aware that this kind of happens. I mean, there's a level there to it. What I also really love about this show is it's got a very diverse cast. I mean, you never see a brown person really, just not, that's not their identity. Like, you look at Bilal Hasna's character, he's not just a brown guy. Like, that's not the fixation of this character. He's just like everybody else, and the show doesn't need to acknowledge that or bring that to a point. And then about, you look at the black characters, you look at any other characters, the Asian characters, they're all just themselves. They're not, their race isn't part of their identity. And I love that everyone in the show just feels unique and interesting. It's not about, okay, we need to fill a quota. It's all about, who are the best people that we can get for this job, and can they feel like a group of friends?
It's a very UK thing, though.
Very UK thing. Absolutely.
I think when you watch something from the States, it's a lot of like, okay, we have to
acknowledge
make the point
this
that
part.
This is diversity. Like, oh, we have a brown guy, we have a black guy, we have a Hispanic and an Asian. Well, in the UK, it just like, I've watched a lot of shows from the UK, Ireland and England and so on. So it does. They always have like a wide variety of people, but it never feels like,
it always feels diverse.
It
right?
feels
They're
diverse,
kind of
but
beyond that.
they don't throw it in your
right?
It's not thrown in
No.
your face, and I really love that about this, because it is a diverse cast. A couple of episodes where they focus on like kind of like the Justice League of I forgot his name.
Cash.
So there's like this scene with Cash and his whole crew who have all these unique powers, but they're all diverse, which is really, really, really nice to see. It's also nice to see that, we've been stuck in a world with Marvel and a lot of these superhero stories taking place centrally in North America. And this is the first time we actually get like a European twist to it, which is really nice.
Yeah.
And it's fresh and it's outside of the box, and like I said before, it's witty and it's clever and it's writing and really, really quick. So you gotta like really pay attention to these jokes, because you will lose it. But that's what I love about UK series and broadcasts, because they're so different than what we get from the States, which plays it safe.
They'll tee up the joke here, right?
They do.
We really tee up the joke that's coming. Where in the UK, it's like, let's just say something. Like, there's never a moment in the show where it's like pause for laughter.
Yeah,
You
no
know what I
hand
mean?
holding.
It literally is just, this is funny because the situation is funny, or this is funny because the way the character, the way they're saying it is funny. It's never a joke. Yeah, it's a joke when you're writing it, but the way it's played off by the wonderful cast in the show, it feels so natural. So it's always the situations, the characters that feel funny. It never is like, oh, I am writing this joke for somebody to laugh at. It literally just feels so natural, which this entire show feels that way, right?
Yeah, there's a level of just authenticity to everybody that you're kind of seeing. Like, There's not a single person in this show that I wouldn't encounter, if I were to be in the UK right now, or if I even
Yeah.
nowadays. Like, no one feels like a caricature. Everyone just feels like they're living their most mundane life, and they happen to have a superpower. And I think what I love about this show as well is people are using their superpower how people would use their superpower. Like, there's
100%.
in one of the opening sequences, there's a guy, I guess. I mean, we don't know what his power is. He's just a character in the background. He's walking with his phone just floating in front of his face. Maybe that's his power, that he can just float phones in front of his face, and he's
Just
walking
phones, nothing
just
else.
he's doing a FaceTime call. He's just walking and like drinking
Yeah.
a coffee, and I'm like that's such a silly power to probably have, but it's just funny that like it's being used in the most mundane way, because that is really what people would end up doing with their powers.
Because you could literally, like, I know it's a big central part of the show too, but like the story and what works so well in the show are the character relationships, are the stories and the events that they go through. The superhero stuff is great, or the superpower stuff is amazing because it adds a different layer to it. But the strongest part of the show, and the reason why the show works so well, is because of the characters in it. So that's why I'm just like, yeah, like I'm with Anthony, where it's like I want more of this show. 8 episodes. I love them. I cannot wait to rewatch the show. This is a show that I want to tell people to go watch. But I hope for season 2, it's not too long of a wait, and I'm hoping that we'll get more episodes too, because I want to spend more time with these characters. Like, you wanna stay within this world, because I really loved the world that the show created and what Emma created with the show, and it feels like a comfort show now. Like, I feel I could easily just put the show on and kind of jump back into that world.
Give
Let's
me
get
more.
to our let's get to our final recommendations. I know this is a bit of a hybrid episode with an interview and review, but I want Anthony to start us off. What's your final recommendation for Extraordinary?
Definitely watch it. It's on Disney Plus. Go stream it. Enjoy it. And yeah, like I think a lot of people, if they really pay attention to the comedy and content and listen to us specifically and watch the show, this will get a second season and we'll get to enjoy more stories from these characters.
I love it. I'm gonna go next. This show is extraordinary. It's every bit what its name promises. It's twisted, it's crazy, but it's such a fun watch. I adore the characters. I'm so happy that we got to speak with everyone part of the show today. So I want to say thank you to Máiréad, to Sofia, to Bilal, and to Luke for joining us. But they are all fantastic in the show. It is worth your time. It's going to be that show that we tell everybody to go watch and go to check out. So definitely watch it. Shay.
The show's an absolute hit. It's a watch it. It's a sleeper hit as well, because no one's gonna expect it to be this good, but it is gonna absolutely blow your mind. And I hope this show finds an audience, because it desperately needs it, because it's so good. This is one of those shows that we'll be talking about most likely throughout the entire year. You'll be seeing us tweet about it nonstop. It deserves your full attention, and you're gonna have a phenomenal time watching it.
I love it. Thank you again to our friends at Disney Studios Canada for making this review happen, for making this interview happen. And I want to say, of course, thank you to Máiréad, to Sofia, to Bilal, and to Luke for joining us on the show today. Go watch Extraordinary. It is on Disney Plus, January 25th, all 8 episodes. You're going to have a wonderful time with it. And of course, thank you for watching the movie podcast. Don't forget, we have lots of episodes out. We have lots of reviews, lots of interviews happening. Sundance is also happening too. So look forward to all of that and more. And our Last of Us coverage every Sunday night, 10 p.m. Eastern time. We will have our after show ready for you to watch and to dive into. So look forward to all of that. It's starting to get busy again. We're in January and it's getting, it's starting to get pretty crazy already, but we wouldn't have it any other way. So thank you again for listening, for watching. We love that you're here. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Letterboxd at The Movie Podcast. And check out our show notes below for all of the links you need and more. That was this time with The Movie Podcast, and we'll see you next.